Dear diarrhea, diarrhea full of shit. Just play along. Just play along. Me, myself, and I, and no one else. Yo, I'm so legit. I'm watching some benefits of baking soda. Now, just like everything else in this world, it's like, well, this baking soda, but not that baking soda, and that baking soda, except for this one thing, and just how things are. But and I have a list on paper and stuff written down on um, or in files. Um, some of them are public, health shit. Some of them are private because I like to just, like I said, I write this shit down, but then I just sort of have it on YouTube as well. I don't want people thinking that I'm concerned about this or concerned about that. It's like, oh, he's got colon cancer, good, or whatever. It's like, no, I just want to know, you know. uh, but yeah, um, but I always read the I read through some of the comments. I read the top five. And this one said this lady was diagnosed with cancer, started taking stuff, and so yeah, it was colon cancer. Started taking the baking soda and apple cider vinegar and warm water, and a whopping 3 weeks later, yeah, internet people much. um, Cured her cancer, and the doctor kicked her out of the office and didn't want to know how she cured the cancer. Yeah, I can buy that, you evil son of a bitch. Was he like a general practitioner? Or... But anyway, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, or baking soda, pun intended, when it comes to the internet, because it's a good tool, but you can, in a short matter of time, find irrefutable proof, facts, evidence, pictures that the earth is flat and the moon is made of cheese. Plus, you got people just making shit up just for their sheer fucking amusement, the Ben and the Bryans of the world, as I say, they just, I don't know why they do it. It's a form of trolling, I guess, Like, it's not even like blatantly malicious, like, I don't watch a lot of porn, but I'm aware it exists. I might use it. I'm actually being real, because porn sucks, but you might be able to catch a picture of that, or 15 seconds of a 10-minute video that's not, put your dick in the dirt bullshit. But I really, that's, I'm not, I make my own porn, so through collages and stuff. It's good, but in the themes, but you'll see these things, grow your dick, 6 inches in 5.5 days, and one of them was literally, you were supposed to fuck this fruit or some sort of vegetable or something. It was like some sort of gourd-looking thing, and it's like, okay, all right, I mean, it's good to know that that's who you're dealing with. I mean, if you, like I said, you're going to be bombarded with advertisements, and most of them are going to be either for dick size increase or for seminal fluid increase. Just that's pretty much it. Oh, and the chat, masturbate with people instead of hooking up. It's because I'm old as fuck, right? So I've been aware of porn for a minute, right? So back in the day, it used to be hook up with local slutty gals in your area. Now it is masturbate with people online, and the game has changed. I'm telling you, it ain't like it used to be. But they have websites, you could join, couples looking to, do the swinger thing and all that. These days, not so much. But, because what is it, Gen Z, the silly boys ain't talking to silly girls, because bitches be crazy. And it's kind of like water, leveling out, I mean, things are kind of working themselves out, you know. Nothing's, it's always changing, and it's either getting better or getting worse, Who knows, 10 years from now, things could be different. They most likely will be. But, so anyway, you just got to be mindful of, shit like that. And like I said, me, I mitigate shit. I take supplements and stuff, but, like the turmeric and ginger, combo, it says, take like, 3 pills every day. Nah, 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 nah. I take 1 pill every day. If it says take 1 pill every day, I take 1 pill every other day. you know? So I guess I do take that Fidosia Agrestis stuff. It's supposed to be 2 pills every day. But like I said, when I went and got my T levels measured, and it was in the mid nines, that was like before, or was that after? I don't remember. But anyway, that could be kind of a good or a bad thing. I mean, that's phenomenal. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, my my body responds well. Like I said, that 60 push-ups with no rest. Like with my build. I mean, not to make myself, but I'm not. Like I said, the Marines versus bodybuilders, and that Joe Rogan cranked out 70. Like, I mean that humbly. I had no fucking idea that was like good. And I just, like I said, just started doing push-ups, and before that's how you do it. And you take your breaks so your body will rebuild, and do things smart. Like I said, I'm me, baby. I'm me. I know what to eat, when to eat, how to eat it. I know when to take the breaks. How to switch up the intensity, be it cardio, be it muscles. You think doing 100 reps with 15 pounds doesn't matter? Fuck you, dude. Try it. Or doing, a measly 5 reps, with 45 pounds. Fuck you, dude. Proper form, it matters. Going to failure, all that shit. Do it right. And unless you're wacky Zacky, you think wacky Zacky has, wacky Zacky's T levels are probably like in the normal range, right? Me, I'm a bulldozer. I don't know if that means, something weird, like I'm going to come down with some sort of cancer or something later. Because I looked it up, because the lady told me that. She's like, hey, that's actually on the high side. And I looked it up, and it's like, woman, that's damn near maximum human capacity. And I'm like old and shit. It's not supposed to be there. But anyway, that's good. I don't want to waste that. But I want to keep, if I'm taking that stuff, I need to be pumping the iron. You know what I mean? I don't want to be feeding this is my thought process. I don't want to be shoveling coal into a steam engine fire of a steam engine that's just parked there. That doesn't seem right to me. You know what I mean? I need to have the yin to the yang, the yang to the yin. That's just me. Because I would never take TRT. Like Mr. Longhead, he admits it, because he's old and shit. He takes that shit. And it turns out, just like everything in life, it has its downsides. Supplements I've discovered are pretty safe, But anyway, my point is, I would never do that. David Empty the Weenie used to say that too. He's like, "Hey, I'll take everything I can get," It's like, nah. That's just never been my style. You know what I mean? Do your push-ups, get your body awakened in the morning, whatever, out the gate. Get your protein in you. I mean, do your fasting thing. So you kind of got to strike that balance with how you want to do things. But anyway, colloidal silver. You know, the directions say, take like 6 swigs a day. Bullshit, I take 1 big swig a week. And some people might say, well, why bother? Well, think about it, that's a swig, that's 52 swigs a year that, I would normally never get. Think of it in terms of bad shit. What if you took 52 swigs of gasoline a year? You'd be like, whoa, Now, obviously, it's like, well, that's different, And there was that guy who drank like gallons of it and he turned blue or some shit. So I just try and mitigate shit. You got to mix shit up, keep the body. Guessing isn't the right word, but, you got to mix up your meat. You got to get your, beef, chicken, pork, fish, salmon is good. It's actually on the higher side of like protein. Dairy is bad. Dairy is inflammatory, but these protein shakes, those they're 30 grams. The ones that I use, I forget what they're called. I got one in my fridge because I don't use. If I get my meat in me, then I don't need to do it. But what is it? Protein. It's 1 gram of sugar. They're really not bad. But yeah, they're 30 grams, or be it a protein bar. What is it? I'll just look right now. Diggity dang damn it, ding dang man, tiggity check yourself, check yourself. Premier. That's soy, baby. That's dairy. Dairy bad, okay? So you got to mix things up. Supplements are supplements, I do take fiber pills. You can take a shit ton of those. I take 5 pills 3 times a day. You can actually take more. But I also eat vegetables, at least a cup a day. I usually eat more. Vegetables are free. And I actually just like plain old sauteed vegetables. They have like natural sugars in them. You mix in your olive oil, but not too much. Otherwise, it's, it's the fat. Mix it up. Either cook in a pan or cook in the oven. Carrots, sauteed carrots and onions. That shit is grub. You pile you up a bowl of sauteed broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, onions. Just like in a chunk. Dude, it's fucking delicious, and you can eat it like popcorn while watching a movie. And that shit not only is loaded with nutrients and stuff, but it's absolutely free. Now, you can eat as much as you want, and it's good to, like I said, I take the fiber pills, but you also got to get your regular fiber. Fruit is good, but you don't want to eat too much because it does have the sugar. It's natural sugar, so your body absorbs it differently or something. But you want to go easy on the fruit. Mix it up. An apple this day, an orange that day, some grapes that day, a banana the next day. Avocados. All these superfoods. Garlic, avocados, tomatoes. They got lycopene, which is good for the cancer and all that. So anyway, I do take apple cider pills. And I've got a whole list of stuff. I got the probiotics for the gut and all that stuff. But like I said, I kind of mitigate it. I mix and match it. you know, I chop them in half so when they get down into the stomach, they're like, they've got another side exposed, you know, so, you know, it'll help break it down. I used to grind them up, but that's really shitty. Tastes bad. It's kind of a pain in the ass. And I figure that's probably the way it's designed, you know, is for, you know, it to. So, like I said, I kind of, it's like, well, I don't want to grind it up because that's probably the way it's designed is to get in your stomach and, you know, kind of start dissolved and then gets dissolved the rest of the way into, who knows. But so I kind of like it, I'll meet it halfway, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to take it whole, but I'm not going to grind it up. I'm going to chop it in half. And then there's the ones that are, you know, the solid, or I'm sorry, they've got the powder. I just take those as is. Same thing with the liquid gels, you know, like the fish oils. And again, you're supposed to take, I think it's one a day. I take one every other day. You know, and when you got to look up, you know, the benefits of fish oil. And then when you're done with that, you write that down in a notebook. You know, goods, pros, and then cons. You look that up. You know, the bad things about fish oil, you know, because it's the internet. You want to use it as a tool, and especially these days. There may have been kind of a golden area where mostly the shit that you were getting on the internet was, you know, good. It was like true and accurate to the best of the knowledge of the people who were contributing the information. But now it's a new game. You know, it's a new breed, Jack. It's a new game, Jack. It's a new game. Well, it's a new game because it's a new breed. So you've got Ben and Brian on the scene just for no fucking other reason, you know, just to be Ben and Brian because it's who they are, okay? Why are they watching Mrs. Jones cook dinner on her house cam that she didn't unplug? Because they're fucking Ben and Brian. They might be beating off. They might just have her on in the background. Maybe it makes them feel like some sort of god or a spy. Maybe they're laughing at her like, oh, she doesn't even know she's on camera. She's so stupid. She's so below me. I hacked into her security system. Ho, ho. They're Ben and Brian, okay? They're not necessarily selling your shit to the Russians. They're not selling it to the dark market. You know, those people are out there too. I just stumbled across, you know, these CAPTCHA things, you know. It turns out the hackers, you know, they've found a way to fake that shit too. You know, it's an arms race, and guess what? The bad guys have the lead. You know, the good guys are kind of always playing catch up, you know. At least that's what I've noticed. But anyway, there's 1,000 ways to get fucked on the internet, you know, magic air. I mean, it's everywhere, you know. Like I said, if you get an email from, you know, an email that, you know, somebody could pose as, you know, your mom or dad, you know, it's out there. They just, you know. So if you get an email saying, honey, your father had a heart attack, you don't open that email. You call your mom, okay? Unless you are like specifically expecting something, you know, and even then, you know, with all the eyes and ears and information, you know, and everything, because, you know, there's bad people out there who just do that. They work for organizations that fuck people over, you know. It might be one person, you know, just fucking around, you know, sort of a side gig. They could, like in the movie The Beehive, you know, there's places out there like that, you know, an office, you know, full of like 15 people who just scam people, or at least try to. You know, the ones who are sending out the, you know, unpaid tolls, you know, or, you know, another one they'll use is, I mean, obviously you want to keep track of that stuff to make sure, you know, nobody's actually did, you know, get a hold of your credit card information or whatever, but unpaid tolls, you know, you either owe money or you've paid money, you know, and here's your receipt. So, you know, thank you for your purchase, you know, from, you know, such and such. You know, it's, you know, it's just what it is. You know what I mean? And, you know, you're just on the list. You know, your number is part of their stuff, you know, like the ambulance ride. You know, I would get that basically once a week for like 6 months, you know, and the toll stuff that came and went. You know, every now and then you'll get something, you know, thank you for your purchase, like some kid or something. It's never anything big, like, here's your cruise reservation for $2,000. It's usually only thank you for your purchase, of a $215.73 from Schmuckum Puckum, company, or the Gap, or something like that, but and they probably do their research, who's spending what and what people respond to. They've got their computer system set up to know which scams work best. And it can be kind of elaborate, trying to scam old people. They can get the name of some senior citizen's grandson, Your son's been in an accident. I'm his lawyer. Blah, blah, blah. We need you to send some, what I mean? It can be some elaborate shit. You know what I mean? I mean, these are low life, people. And I forgot what I was talking about. Went down a rabbit trail, but another thing is you need to be careful of, like I said, internet people, computer people lingo, vibe, you know what I mean? So instead of just, the health benefits of such and such, if they hit you with only 2.5% of people know to do this every other Sunday, then it's like, okay, Ben and Brian much? And for some reason, it's just how they work. They don't have the sense, It's like they'll get the people that they'll get because, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, that it's so blatantly obvious. But there's other people out there who actually do get it, For the low, low price of $5 a month, get this free information before it's banned from the internet forever. Do you want this miracle information? For a limited time only. Get yours. It's like, get the, you know what I mean? So, anyway, have a good day.